I'll start with the offense because I know that was kind of the big talking point throughout the night. Not a great night for Blake Shapen. This is one of those weird deals where if you just look at the box score, you look at the final score of the game, Mississippi State wins, and then I tell you Blake Shapen was 19 of 33, so 58% completion, which isn't anything crazy, but that's fine. 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. You're like, man, he played one hell of a game. And then you watch Shapen tonight, and it just wasn't his best. The first touchdown to Evans was kind of just a layup throw. And frankly, the touchdown at the end to Thompson was a layup throw too. But I give him a lot of credit for that one, considering the moment and where he delivering. I don't care that it was a layup. Like, he still delivered in that spot. He had a nice, but the big touchdown pass to Thompson in the first half, there's that one. That was a great throw. I know Thompson made a great catch, but that's still a good throw. He had a comeback route to Thompson that was really nice. He had a few nice moments. There was a lot of just weirdness with his game the rest of the way. You saw a lot, just didn't look super comfortable out there. A lot of staring down one guy, and that is simultaneously a product of scheme and also something he's got to improve upon. So from a scheme standpoint, talking about this offense, and I know we haven't done it a ton on this channel, but for those of you who have followed me for a long time, y'all have probably seen me talk about this offense somewhere. I wrote some stuff for White Nation a while back. So much of the passing game is built off of vertical choice routes. So you have one receiver, or maybe sometimes you give all the receivers. Like, they have routes where basically the idea is get open. You're either, like, if I can run by the guy, I'm running by him vertical. If I have to shut it down and come back, I'm coming back. If I can bend it inside, leverage, I'm going to bend it inside. And the idea is if your receiver runs it right, unless the other guy can just lock him down in man coverage, he should always get open. So a lot of the concepts are built around, you are like, this guy has the choice route. That's who you want to throw to. That is where the ball is going to. Now, there are check downs built into it. You'll see the tight ends and the running backs will settle down in front of the offensive line. Like, that's the check down option. It's basically either you're throwing the choice route and you're trying to throw that no matter what, but if it just ain't there, check it down to the back, check it down to the tight end. And you'll see Shapen a lot really just staring on that choice route as long as he possibly can, to the point that it gets too late, like to where he can't get to the check down because now the pressure's on him. And you saw him a few times, like he tried to scramble out and escape pressure. There's a few times he picked up okay yards going straight ahead. And I think when Shapen is decisive, when Shapen decides I'm running early, he's fine. When it's a last resort for him, it tends to go very poorly. And some of those plays where he tried to pull it and run around the edge, which should have been easy throwaways, those were awful. Like, he took some sacks he absolutely should not have taken tonight in this game. So like there was some indecisiveness in the passing game where he should have just checked the ball down, check it down, get 3-4 yards, live to fight another down, instead of it being a case of we're having to fight to get back to the line of scrimmage because you're about to get sacked and you're fighting back. That was kind of the big thing. He had a few passes he was off on. Obviously missed Thompson on a touchdown there in the second half when he had him wide open. It's crazy that you could overthrow Brennan Thompson, but he did at that one point. Had a couple passes sail on him. A few decisions to throw some comebacks and to tight coverage and just look. I mean, I get trusting your receivers, but there was just a few times at the RPO game. There was a couple times he probably could have handed it off to a good look. There were a couple times he probably shouldn't have handed it off and should have thrown the football. It just felt like Shapen was just not fully locked in throughout the night. Like he basically in the first half, he hit a couple nice throws, and that was sort of the one saving grace. Second half was rough, mostly. Now, I think the first possession coming out, people were ripping him because it was a quick 3 and out. There was nothing on that. That possession, go back and watch. Shapen doesn't do anything wrong, I don't think, on that possession. Sometimes you just get beat by the defense. A lot of the second half was rough. I say all that to then say he comes back at the end in the final drive. He's 3 of 4 passing, obviously, the full yardage. The one incompletion, he hits Anthony Evans in the hands, and Evans drops it. He had a check down to Devon Booth, and Devon Booth gets upfield and gets yardage. Good. Like, he quickly eliminated, said, okay, they're not giving me something downfield. I'm going to dump it off to my back, let him go to work, which he needs to do more of and show more consistency. I appreciate him stepping up in the moment. And again, was the last throw a layup? Yes. Is it still a big deal for him to settle in and take that in that moment when you've got to hit a big throw to win the game? 100%. He deserves credit for it. So Was it a great game for Shapen? No. Did he deliver when Mississippi State needed him to? Yes. He made the few big throws Mississippi State needed him to make in this game. Does he have to get better going forward? 100%. Because other opponents, you're not going to be able to waste as many opportunities as they did. Now, I've already seen all the comments, if we would have put more points on the board if Kamario Taylor was in. I don't even know how I get why people are saying it. They want Kamario. I get it. I don't know how you prove that. Like, how do you know Kamario makes a few of the throws that Shapen didn't? Now, we could assume Kamario is going to run a few times where Shapen was not going to for good yards. That's totally fair. But overall, like you did need more out of Shapen, but he still delivered in the biggest moments. He still did enough for you in this game for you to get a win. And he's got to be better moving forward, but you can build off this. And someone did point, we were going back and forth on Twitter with the guy, somebody did point out like the moment of the game might have just been getting to him. Obviously, outside of the last drive where he steps up and handled it perfectly, but this easily just could have been a situation where it's like, man, this is a really big, crazy environment. Nothing that I've really played in before with a big opportunity. Maybe he was antsy. You would hope a 6-year quarterback is not going to be antsy out there, but it's possible he was. So, it's not like you can take much away next week when you're playing Alcorn State, but we'll see moving forward. Like, how does that look for Shapen the rest of the way? So, not an ideal game, but you got enough out of him. I mean, for other parts of the offense, I thought O-line, pass protection held up, man. And they didn't – I don't know if Jimothy Lewis ended up playing. That was obviously a whole weird situation. Javen James, though, at left tackle, thought he played well. I mean, that surprised me that that's who they went with. I thought with Work back healthy, even though Work moved to guard in the offseason, I thought they would kick Work out to one of the tackle spots, and it would be Work and Reese as your two tackles. But Javen James, I mean, it felt like he was doing his job holding up a protection. And look, ASU's not a terrorizing pass rush, but they got a good defensive line, and they got after Mississippi State last year. So I thought they held up pretty well in pass protection throughout the night. Run blocking was not great, and that is where ASU has the edge. But look, ASU for much of the game, and I said this early on, like they were stacking, not stacking the box, but they were playing a lot of single high. They were taking an approach of we're going to stop the run. And they were willing to concede some in the passing game, and that's where State was able to take advantage, which I talked about that coming into this. I thought it was being a bit overblown, this idea of establishing the run being the key for Mississippi State. On the day, 66 rushing yards for Mississippi State on 30 carries, a 2.2 average. Booth and Bothwell combined for 67 on a combined 17 attempts. 4.3 average for Fluff, 3.7 average for Booth. Like even those two, they had a couple nice runs, but they didn't run the ball all that effectively. And it was because there just were not a ton of good looks to run into. And even when there were, that's where State didn't block it as well. The run blocking was not as good. And that's because, look, again, Arizona State, their defensive line is very good. Those are guys who are good at defending the run. You have to be better at that going forward. But this was a game where I felt the passing game was what you were going to have to lean on, and that's what ultimately you saw. And look, State's receivers, I mean, Anthony Evans, two guys with 100 yards, 9 catches for 108 and a touchdown for Evans, 6 for 133, 2 scores for Brennan Thompson. Nobody else with more than 1 catch. Just really didn't get any other guys all that involved. There were quite a few plays where, you get to a third down and just nobody was open. And that is tough, but at the same time, that's going to happen sometimes. You definitely would prefer that you're not solely winning off of deep shots or getting somebody just open across the middle. But overall, State's receivers, I mean, your top 2 guys stepped up. And look, through 2 weeks, Evans and Thompson are guys where we talked about it's potential over production. They haven't shown it yet, but can they come out and deliver? They've delivered through 2 weeks. They've looked really good. Obviously, you expect them to deliver the next couple of weeks. Now, once you go up against Tennessee and that defense, what does that look like? We'll find out. But early going, do they have a singular – I don't think they have a Kevin Coleman yet, and I don't know if you guys watched Missouri and Kansas, but Kevin Coleman, still really good at football. The guy's a stud, and he is a true go-to any down, any distance, any situation, which – that's one thing I'm wondering, do you still have that guy this year? Because there's going to be situations where you need that. Do you have receivers, though, that fit this system and can be productive in this system and give you enough big plays to keep things rolling? I think so. I think that's what we've seen so far. So, look, overall, was it a pretty night offensively? No. You thrived on a couple big explosive plays. You didn't really sustain drives the way you would have liked to. It was very similar to last year, to be honest, with the key difference being, though, with the game on the line, you stepped up and got it done. So you got to take that and be excited with that.